Titans, after having our highest weekly and monthly candle closings 2 days ago, we have been seeing Bitcoin pull back the last couple of days. But it's only Tuesday, so let's take a look at what's the most important thing that needs to happen this week. Kevort, hit that intro. Let's kick it off with the Crypto Fear and Greed Index. Just a quick note that although the name of this index would suggest that it's generally all crypto, the gauge primarily fluctuates based on the movement of Bitcoin. So today we are at 79, which represents extreme greed. And this is exactly where we stood this past Friday before heading into the weekend and before having these 2 red days. So I would expect this gauge to start pulling back soon if we continue to have a correction for Bitcoin moving forward. Now let's move on to your daily reminder that the Bitcoin halving is in just 16 days. Also, note that the halving date is now currently estimated to be April 19th, but again, it's a moving date based on whenever the 210,000 blocks have been added to the Bitcoin blockchain. And for those of you who are new to crypto, this event marks the time in which the Bitcoin reward for the miners will get cut in half from about 6 Bitcoins to about 3 Bitcoins every time a block is successfully added to the Bitcoin blockchain. Moving on to the Bitcoin liquidation heat map. Just a quick reminder that this map tracks the short and long position liquidity for Bitcoin in areas that are either light or dark yellow. The yellow areas will either be above or below the current price action, which are the short and long positions respectively. So looking at the 1 week window, there is still nearly $1 billion of liquidity building up above the current price action at around 72K, meaning that the short positions continue to pile up high. And with the ongoing correction, we've pretty much wiped out all liquidity below the current price action. Again, Bitcoin has a strong tendency to follow the liquidity, so if the buy pressure picks up quickly in the coming days, I would expect us to propel through the 72K area with a short squeeze. Now let's take a quick look at the Bitcoin ETF flow table. Just a quick reminder to anyone new to this table, we're tracking how much Bitcoin the institutions such as BlackRock, Fidelity, ARK Invest, etc. are buying to back their ETFs based on the millions of dollars they are spending per day against how much Bitcoin is being sold by Grayscale in millions of dollars as folks are switching out of Grayscale Bitcoin and into the ETFs. Yesterday, April 1st, we had a negative total flow of $85.7 million with $302.6 million flowing out of Grayscale. But as you can see, BlackRock and Fidelity were the leaders in buying yesterday's dip with $165.9 million and $44 million respectively. Guys, this is your reminder that we are only 51 days away from a decision to be made by the SEC for the first Ethereum spot ETF by May 23rd. Don't sleep on Ethereum because you know what happened to Bitcoin leading up to the approval of the spot ETFs back in January. All right, now let's hit the charts. All right, we're looking at Bitcoin on a 12-hour time frame, and as you can see here, we lost support on this bottom trend line of the consolidation pattern that was forming for several weeks now. And now we are testing the bottom of the Bollinger Bands, which are still fairly tight. 2 things to note here is that the Bollinger Band width indicator is still in the squeeze zone, and the stochastic RSI has nearly bottomed out. So on the positive side, we are due for some recovery soon based on these 2 variables. But let's take a look now at the bigger picture to see what support zones are coming to play here and what matters the most for the rest of the week. Okay, now we're looking at Bitcoin on the weekly time frame. And as you can see here, we are putting the 65.5K support of this 65.5K to 69K support zone to the test. If we fall below this support zone, then there's a high probability that we retest the next support zone, which is at 57K to 60K. However, what really matters the most here is how we close the week this coming Sunday, because if we close back below 69K, then it tells us that we'll likely continue to consolidate some more. But if Bitcoin recovers and we see that short squeeze we discussed in the liquidation heat map, then we can find our way back up to 72K, which puts us back in a good position since we need to close the week above 69K to see an upwards trajectory from here. Titans, we are your one-stop source for guiding you through this Bitcoin bull run. Please join us as we continue to provide the latest market and technical analysis that are going to give you that edge.